there.
Welcome, everyone. We are so glad you're here. We're a few minutes late, but we hope you're still there. And looking at this, we have a whole consortium of individuals here to be able to support Beyond the Briefcase, because that's what you're listening to today. Beyond the Briefcase is all about how do we make our lives the kinds of lives that we want to live instead of being focused on business all the time. And many of us have had that opportunity to do that and then kicked ourselves to go, okay, we don't need to do that anymore. Let's learn a different way. So I'm Sherry Knight with Dimension 11 right here in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada. We have Barbara with us, Barbara Ellison. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm Barbara Ellison. I'm founder of the Legacy Brand Wellness Playroom for the best version of your life. And I am a life transition mentor. And it is just absolutely fun to be here. So excited to have everybody here.
Wonderful. And our co-host today is Emily Kelsey. Emily, welcome.
Thanks, Sherry. So I'm Emily Kelsey. I'm the founder of Simply Transformative. I help people take control of their health through simple, sustainable nutrition and healthy lifestyle habits. As a certified nutrition coach and experienced health coach, I guide my clients in making smarter food choices, creating balance and building habits that lead to lasting transformation. Whether you're looking to lose weight or boost energy, develop a healthier relationship with food, I can help you out with that.
Wonderful. Welcome. And we have Franz. Franz, I want to make sure I get it right. Franz Constancio.
That is correct. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Franz Constancio from Oxymoron Coffee, home of the Awfully Good Coffee. We are local to the Hudson Valley, New York. Coffee roasters. Single batch, single origin, small batches. That way we ensure flavor. And our biggest thing is really introducing and educating our client base to the different varieties that are out there instead of the typical store brand or large market coffees that you're used to. We are interested in really educating and just learning about what's out there and what offerings we can offer our consumers.
Fabulous. Welcome. So glad to have you here. And Marisa Caccamo. I hope I said it right.
Yeah, Marisa Caccamo here, True Essential Living. I am a yoga instructor. I'm a doTERRA essential oil educator and Reiki practitioner. So I look at women and their families, and I try to get to root causes of what's going on and help them live more naturally and offer some natural solutions through that. I work with a lot of practitioners in my business to make that happen for people. And yeah, healing can come in a lot of different forms. So we look at all the different forms that we can use and offer up those solutions for people.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. So glad to have you all here. And myself at Dimension 11, I talk about people, performance, and profits because we help people build their businesses and hopefully build it right from the beginning as opposed to having to go backwards and then reinvent ourselves because we didn't do it right the first time, as many of us have done when we are entrepreneurs. So looking at what we're about today, there's been something that's happened in your life, something that made your life go, this is crazy. For me, it was one day when I walked into a classroom because I was a former educator. I walked in as the teacher, flipped on the lights and went, I'm done. I have not one more ounce of energy to give. It was a dull, dreary February day. I thought, I can't do anything. The kids will be coming in eventually. I've got to get myself organized. So I went home that night, thought about it, talked to my husband, went in the next day, handed in my resignation, said I'll be out of here at the end of the year because I didn't feel it was right to leave the kids at that time. But that was the third time I had burnt out. Hadn't learned the lesson the first couple of times. And so that was when I needed to do that shift and be able to do a different kind of life that I needed. So that's where I made that shift. Barbara, what about you? Where did you make the shift?
With me, it was after my husband passed away. And when I woke up from my widow's fog, I realized that I had no idea of who I was outside of all the labels that I had put on myself of being a daughter and then being a wife and then being a mother and then being a divorced failure and then being a successful wife again and a successful business owner. And now I'm a widow. Who was Barbara in all of that? And that's when I knew, all right, it was the scariest moment of my life. And what am I going to do for the rest of my life? And so it has just been a blessing to go on that journey. And now it's led me to what I'm doing today. So yeah, it's that point where, okay, I cannot go on like this another minute.
And we all have that experience. Emily, tell us about yourself.
So how did I come to do what I do? Is that what we're asking? So yeah, I had a health journey of my own. And I realized that there are other people out there that struggle like I did. So I decided to pay it forward and show people how I did it. I am certified with as an Optavia coach, and I help people do what I did. I lost 120 pounds on my journey, and I said, hey, everybody, you could do this too. But at first I was not an entrepreneur. I was not, I always worked for someone else. Mm-hmm. That was my thing. Give me a paycheck and I can go home. And I came into this and I was, very timid and very small and very I don't know how to do this. I'm still there. How do I make this a bigger thing? Because, of all the other things that go on in life. But I just know that I have more to help people with. So that's what drives me forward.
And that's fair. But what was it that caused you to leave that 125 pounds?
Health. I needed to be around for my family. I needed, I said, I had a doctor tell me, you're on the fast track to the other side. So I said, oh, okay. How do I do this? How am I going to change this? And I really was driven to change my health because I had my kids were adults and becoming moms, and I knew grandkids were coming, and I wanted to be around for them.
Good for you. Wonderful. Oh dear. And Franz, how about you? What brought you to this realization?
So for me, it was actually during the pandemic. My children were home working from home already. And I was there, and I had a friend who used to come over, and we used to sip and drink coffee. And I was already getting coffee from a large West Coast roaster, very famous one over there. And it was nice, and then I started looking at it and I said, I wish there was something a little bit closer. And we were discussing it. I was discussing it with the co-founder and we just started talking. I said, this would be a great idea, roasting our own coffee. We should definitely learn something like this. And we started playing around with the idea. And he says, that's a business I'd go into with you. And the beginnings of Oxymoron was born. We realized that there wasn't any place over here that was serving the kind of quality of coffee we wanted, but also educating those people about what they were drinking. They would gladly take your money, but not really educating them. And we started the process by just getting some simple equipment, roasting at home. And now, we're in some supermarkets, and it's really provided, a nice lifestyle for myself.
And that's great. But what was it that caused you to make that shift? Probably more than just being home over COVID.
I've always wanted to be, I love creating things, and I wasn't getting that satisfaction in what I was doing. I got into the current work and business that I was in, just because of family obligations, but it wasn't my passion. Creating something from nothing and just really taking pride in saying, hey, you know what? I did this from scratch. And it felt like something that I've always wanted to do. And I wanted to be a chef when I was a kid. It just didn't work out. And it really connected, and it brought me joy. And that's what I needed at that time.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well,
and it still brings me joy.
I was going to say, you're still in the chef business, just a different approach to it.
Correct.
Marisa, what about you? What was that shift in the extreme that caused you to go into what you're doing?
Yeah, I was my mom's caretaker when she was getting her cancer treatment, and I had I was on leave from a corporate job, and I had my son too. I have a special needs son. At the time, he was 5. So after she passed, I actually didn't get into it until right at the end of kind of her cancer treatment journey. But when she passed away, I had this real epiphany, and I looked at my life and I looked at how unhealthy I was and how much
Mm.
medication I was on and all the things happening in or around to myself, and my family. And I took that, healed myself, healed my son. And that was a little bit longer journey because he was much more complex, but he's amazing. Like the stuff we have done has just been extraordinary, um, both in using essential oils, natural products, different types of therapies. It's been a really amazing journey to see what it looks like on the other side. And I realized in that moment that if I had these tools and I was helping myself, that I could then take them and help other people. And now I've done that literally hundreds, if not thousands of times over with
Wonderful.
people of all ages. But my mom was really my inspiration for looking at my life to saying, I don't think I want to go down that path. That's not how I want to live. And I want to live a long, healthy life, and I want to be able to share that with other people.
Wonderful. And we're so sorry that you lost your mom. That's really tough. No question about that. So we all have a little bit more knowledge now about each other, and those who are listening also have that aspect about where you're coming from. So as our co-host, Emily, I'm going to turn things over to you now. Let's see where we go with this conversation.
Yeah. So, I'm just so happy to be here. I think that this is a great broadcast that you ladies put on. I've invited Franz and Marisa because they're actually two people that I just love having conversation with all the time. When we get together and we talk for quite some time. So, a lot of great conversations have been had, and having this ability to share what we all can do for people is really important to me. I think that everybody's got a message, everybody's got a story, and having the ability to put it out there is just incredible that we can do that.
Makes total sense. And so what are the things that you all tend to do just to make sure that you are living the life you want to lead? What is it in a day or a week that you implement?
For myself personally?
Sure.
Waking up in the morning and thanking God that I'm alive. That's the first thing that I like to do, because I've had a lot of loss in my life as well. And it's, as I said before, I want to be here. And as Marisa said, live a long, healthy life for my family, for my children, my grandchildren. I want to see my grandchildren get married. I want to be there because I didn't have grandparents. My children didn't have their grandparents. We lost both of our parents, at a very, very young age. So it's just important to me to do the things to create that healthy lifestyle for myself and carry forward every single day. I don't like to do, there's some days where I just want to stay in bed. I don't want to get up and, drink the water and do the exercise and stuff like that. But what drives me is knowing that doing all those things, I can be 100% my best. So, well, not always 100%. I'm not gonna say there's no perfection, right? There's always progress over perfection. So striving for that every single day is important to me. No matter how I feel, I get up and I do it.
Wonderful. Oh. And who else is wanting to jump in on this?
I will for one little second. One of the things that I have found for myself is that so often, like I was brought up, I'm a lot older than the rest of you. I was brought up that if you do this, you're going to have that, and then you're going to become this. Now I have totally realized that that's backwards. We have to become who we're supposed to be first. What lights our joy? I always think of it as what makes your heart sing. because when you are doing the thing that you love to do and being who you are, then you're going to do exactly that. You're going to do the thing that you're meant to do. And you're going to bring the other people who also want to do it along with you. And then you're going to have absolutely everything you could possibly want in your life. And I, for myself, has more and more people are coming to that. Like I work with late career business professionals who are facing retirement, and they have no idea of who they are outside of their job title and their job description. And what am I going to do when I don't have the job? Am I going to be relevant? Am I going to be worth anything? And all that imposter syndrome comes in, and they're thinking, oh, isn't there more to life than this of sitting in front of the TV watching TV? No, let's be vibrant as we get older. And that has been such an eye-opening thing for me, is to change that. It's not do, be, and have. It's not do, have, and be. It's be first. And once we get in touch with that, and I think all of us have done that in our own way.
Very good thoughts.
I'm gonna definitely. Oh yeah, sorry. I'm gonna definitely have to echo that one, Barbara, because I saw my father go through the same thing too. He was an attorney for a very, very long time in the corporate sector, and then one day, a couple of pieces of paper and a review that he wasn't present for, and he's like, well, "What do you mean?" And he hit the glass ceiling. He hit his where he was, and he realized, he says, you know what, I put in a lot of effort here. I've always wanted to be an attorney, but not working for someone else. And he had a couple of friends who already started their firm and were asking him to be a principal there too as well. And he made a late decision in life to restart all of that over again, and start his own law firm in his late 50s. And it was almost unheard of in New York, and he did it. It was very successful. And he was never happier than he was so happy going into work when he wanted to, working on the cases he wanted to work on. And throughout my life, I worked in corporate retail, and I was very unhappy until I was pushed out. And then I realized, I said, I need to follow my dream of being an entrepreneur. It's not that I don't like being told what to do. I just want to find joy in what I did. And when I realized that it was creating something with food or coffee or whatever, and just having a passion about it. And yes, it can be grueling sometimes getting there. Once you're there and you're in your element and you're showcasing it and demoing it for people, it feels like it's timeless. It feels like a dream. And, I feel more energized at the end of the time there when I'm done. And that's how I know I'm in the right career or the right business for myself. So, yeah, I mean, when you truly find what you're looking for, it's a blessing.
And that's the result end. What do you do on a daily basis to be able to keep you in that stance of how exciting it is?
A huge thing is really, working with Emily and transforming my health and really the mental side of it. I too, I'm on a health journey too as well. To date, I've lost about 85, 90 pounds over the last year. And that's been a huge, literally not a huge weight, but literally, but huge weight. But just keeping the right mindset and just eating properly, getting exercise, having a routine. I was just telling my wife, I said, I have a certain routine every day. I walk my dog for, mile and a half, 2 miles. Doesn't matter what the weather is, get my ducks in a row, literally, and do that. And then put my daughter on the bus. Those are the things that I always wanted to do as a father, be there for my kids. So that way I work hard when they're at school and my wife's at work, and I adjust my schedule. And sometimes I have to work late at night. Sometimes I have to work weekends or Sundays when everybody else is enjoying a football game. But that's the life I chose, and that's the life I wanted. And that's why I'm so happy. And that's why everybody says I smile all the time.
Well, it's wonderful to be able to do the things that are important to you, and putting your child on the bus and walking your dog. I mean, that's got twofold excitement there, right?
Absolutely.
Good for you. Excellent. And Marisa, what about you?
Yeah, so I have a pretty good daily habit of my doTERRA supplements are probably some of the best supplements, and I have been a supplement taker pretty much my entire life. Like my parents were very much into supplementation. The essential oils I had used growing up, but didn't really have the knowledge of what they could do and the difference in them. So, growing up using them, you just use them wherever, the health food store. And there's a very big difference. And my friend who introduced me to this introduced me to not only like these daily habits that I've created between my supplementation, the oils I'm using for both emotional and physical benefits. But yeah, what they can do, it's extraordinary. So I'm very, very regimented, not with a lot of things, but with my supplementation, my oils. I have a routine that I do not veer from ever. Like I stay on it all the time, and it really, my mental health, that was kind of my biggest challenge, I would say, besides some of the physical things. And that's been like night and day. And my husband, who doesn't really notice stuff like that, said it's extraordinary the change that's been made between where we started and where you are today.
Wonderful.
And a lot of life has happened between now and then. So yeah, I give a lot of credit to that. And I try really hard to stay on that. And Emily too, I have to give a little shout out to her. She is like the most patient and kindest coach, especially on like the rough days where you're just like, oh man, I don't know if I can keep doing this.
Yeah. Well, wonderful to hear. Kudos to you, Emily.
Thank you. You guys know. So between the coffee and the essential oils, I didn't even mention that as part of my routine. You guys keep me going, and I've even put the essential oils in my coffee. I will tell you that peppermint coffee, peppermint doTERRA oil inside in the oxymoron coffee with some creamer. Whew, Christmas. So yeah. So thank you for the shout outs, guys. You guys are awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh,
and I think so much of that comes under the fact that you're all saying that you do it every day. It's the habits.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I work with people is to celebrate the things that you're doing and don't beat yourself up for the things that you're not, because you can't do everything every day. But as long as you're doing whatever you decide is for you, what is the most important habit that you're going to do today? And once people give themselves permission to but to just be real. I mean, I'm sorry, but nobody can do everything every day. 306, if that's what leads to stress. And that's what with me, I find I work with people that are burnt out, they're unhappy, and they can't figure out why they're not living their best life. Well, let's show you how to do that. What are your daily habits? And get in touch with those that are going to work for you.
And one of the daily habits that's so interesting, I heard you say it, Emily, and Barbara, I know you do as well. It's that element about the gratitude. What is it that I am thankful for? And now most people do it once a day. I do it twice a day, morning and night. I look at what's gone on through the course of this day that is fabulous, and a reminder of what was fabulous the day before, because that keeps us focused and it keeps us centered. Because you're right, Emily, it's really great to be on this side of the grass.
Can I share with you one funny story about doing that? I tend to just be thankful for things, and I say it out loud. One day, okay, Franz, you're not listening to this. One day I walked into a ladies' room, and I don't remember where I was, but I walked into the ladies' room, thought I was by myself. So I was just doing kind of one of my kind of like gratitude things. And it was like, thank you, Lord, for indoor plumbing. And all of a sudden I heard this voice going, isn't that the truth? And I was like, oh, yike. But you know what? I really, afterwards, after I got over the embarrassment that I wasn't by myself, I realized that, you know what? That may have been something that they needed to hear. To be grateful for some of the small things that these days we just totally take for granted. We totally take them for granted. So that was just a funny little
that.
I'm very thankful for that too, Barbara.
We all are.
That was great.
I'll agree on that.
Anybody
These
that's gone
cold
camping,
days.
anybody that's gone camping or visited with family who have lived way out in the bush, yes, plumbing is wonderful.
Absolutely. I'm
Dear.
thankful for hot water too, as well.
Which I didn't have the last day or so with all our cold weather. So yes.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh dear. And so looking at all these things that we've talked about, what's one of the things that you want to carry on doing? We're talking about habits, and what's one thing that's so important for you going forward that can help those people who are listening to us? Marisa, you want to start out today?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world. And that actually is a really impactful quote that I use quite a bit, both in my yoga practice, teaching and practicing, as well as my doTERRA business, because part of what's happening in the world, what's really important and what I try to do is empower people to understand that they have the power to control their own health. There's so many things, so many modalities that they can use to control what's going on with themselves, their families, their loved ones, even their pets, because that's a huge part of society now. And I think that really kind of fired me up for, what do I want to see different? What would I like to see my son and potentially grandkids be doing, however many years from now, for their own health and carrying on that legacy? I think that's what gets me up in the morning and gets me fired up and just going as fast as I can with this, because I know I've done it myself. I've done it with other people. I know what can happen.
Fair enough. Appreciate that. Franz?
Yeah, so for me, I'm very big into sharing knowledge. And that's one thing I try to instill when I'm working, doing demos with the public, is just answering questions. A lot of people have some very simple questions, and as a professional in the coffee business, there's a lot to learn. I'm still a novice, and I love learning and sharing that information, but it's something that I think 70 or 80% of the world starts up with a cup of coffee every day, but the process of what it goes through, just the nuances of it, and what's funny is people are like, oh, is it okay if I put milk and sugar in my coffee? I said, do it however you want to. There's no judgment. You got to taste it the way you want it to. But also remember too, taste it the way the roaster intended for you to taste it too as well. So I always tell people, I said, look, you can try it, if you like it, with milk and sugar, but here, try this a little, this is the way I learned to the knowledge, the nuances, and maybe you can taste it, maybe you can't, but it's like red wines or whiskeys or something. It's going to take some time, but drink it the way you want it, because otherwise I tell people it's not going to taste right. And then you're going to have a poor experience. And I don't want you to have a poor experience. But if you are willing to try it a little differently, then let's take an adventure together. And if they are, let's step forward. If not, drink it the way you like it, because it's still going to, I think it's good, but I want to hear your opinion, how I can make it better. So I'm never in case to, it being this way. There are certain parameters I have to follow, just in order to make it taste, edible. But with that, I love hearing feedback from people and sharing knowledge with them and just seeing their faces light up. I think they get I get a real passion out of it, and they have a fun experience too. So that's what I want to keep on pushing forward. That's our legacy for Oxymoron Coffee.
Oh, wonderful. Emily. Oops, Barbara, I'm going to come to you in a second.
No, I was just going to tell Franz that I loved that you said that treat it as an adventure. I think that applies to so many things.
Yeah.
Treat something new as an adventure. So thank you.
That's all about life. Every time, I lost my husband, but every time that we would go someplace and we'd get lost, he'd go, oh, new adventure, scenic route. So, yeah, you're right, Barbara, from that perspective. Emily.
I love that. Yeah, lifelong learning is a lifelong journey. Having the ability to learn and being open to learning new things is so important. The other day I read health is a condition, but health is not a condition, but a way of life. So if you live a healthy lifestyle, you're going to have health, right? And just continue doing those things every single day to create that one little tiny step at a time. And one of my favorite authors, James Clear, of the author of the Atomic Habits, had the opportunity to hear him speak live, which was at our convention last year, and it was amazing. And he says the habits are the compound interests of self-improvement. So putting together one little habit at a time, as we say with Optavia, one healthy habit at a time, it all goes hand in hand. And one of my biggest mentors, Dr. Wayne Anderson, said, we all have the ability to become the dominant force in our lives. Yes. When I heard that, I mean, I was 40-something, I think 49 years old. I heard that, and I've heard it 1,000 times before, but when it hit me in the head, I was like, holy cow. I have the ability to be the dominant force in my life. No one ever told me that before. So, knowing that and putting it forward and just putting the little pieces together every single day, I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm doing it. I'm living a healthy life. Nobody can stop me because it's mine. So everybody has that opportunity.
That's fabulous. Fabulous. We all do. Yes. We just forget.
Right.
Barbara. Your turn.
Okay, now I've gone blank. So I was going to.
What are you doing?
Oh, what do I do?
As you go forward. Yeah.
Gratitude. One of the things that I have found for myself is frequency treatment. And that has been quite interesting. Of just, like everything is frequency and, and vibration, and trying to live at the high vibrations of gratitude and love. When we can consciously try to live at those, I mean, we don't always succeed. There are days I wake up and go, oh, brother, really? We all have those days, and forgive ourselves when we have them. But then to live at those vibrations. And when a more negative one comes in, I think one of my biggest things is Eleanor Roosevelt, when she said, nobody can make you feel inferior or angry or whatever without your permission.
Yeah.
I love that.
That hit me between the, just when that first, it was like, oh, that's right. I can choose to, because you can't control somebody else. That's right. The only time you can control is when if you respond rather than react. Mm-hmm. But it takes time and it takes practice. Mm-hmm. Not always good at it, but I try.
I think none of us are really good at it, but we all are in the learning process.
We're all learning.
Oh, dear. So as we start to wrap up here, let's look at what is it that you want to leave our listeners with? What is it that's so critical or important for you to be able to share with others? Can we start with you, Emily, our co-host?
Sure. So I one thing I take with me and I tell people all the time, if they're struggling with creating a healthy habit, do that one thing that you can do towards your good health, even on your worst day. Mm-hmm. Find that one thing. And everybody, takes time to think about it. But, once you're able to establish that, like that one thing, if it's waking up early, half an hour early, or drinking 16 ounces of water before your coffee, or something like that, practice that. And when you master that, move on to the next thing. Don't feel like you have to do them all in one day.
I think that's true. We try to do so much because we have so much help today that we should be able to accomplish more, right?
Right.
Not necessarily, no. We have to look at what's life like for us and make that decision. So thank you for that. Yeah. Marisa.
Yes. So being the change that you want to see in the world, I just think it's just so important, and not fearing that change.
Right.
Fear does nothing for us. So understanding that you have the power to heal yourself. And if you don't feel like you have the power, like you have people like us to help you, and understanding that there is real healing, natural healing available to the world. It's super important that people understand that, and we have to start changing healthcare. As we see, we've got to start putting health back into healthcare, because right now it's not. And we all really need to start working towards that. And I would like to help as many people as I can do that. It's really important.
Well, and each of you, as you come up here, there is a way to connect with you. So that's fantastic. So you may have to reach out to you. Franz.
Yeah. So for me, I think a huge realization that my father taught me is, it's great to have a career, but really make sure that you're bringing joy in your life. And it's okay to take that leap of faith and have that adventure, because I remember seeing shortly after he passed that Colonel Sanders didn't start. He failed I think 75 times. I don't know the number. Don't quote me on it. He failed so many times until he took an old recipe that his family had and started sharing chicken with everybody. And they said, wow, this is fantastic. And he started selling it. And look at the legacy he's left for himself of, being the Colonel Sanders who, I think it was at 65 or almost 70 years old, became a very successful entrepreneur. And, we're going to fail a lot in life, or maybe not take the right path down, but it's never too late to find your passion. And you don't have to start big. You could just start small like he did and like I did, and just see where it goes and just enjoy life. And, for me, for all those out there, go to your local coffee shop, and if they're roasting coffee, get educated. Find out the knowledge that they have. Ask them to share their notes with you, or what they're so passionate about and what coffee origin they're passionate about. And maybe you might find a passion for yourself in something else in the arts, or something else you might want to do. And how they became a successful entrepreneur.
And that's a good point, because if we can learn from others, we hopefully will not make the same mistakes that others made. Mind you, sometimes the mistakes somebody else made are the mistakes that are going to make us successful. So it's a crapshoot in a sense from that perspective. But thank you. That's excellent. Barbara.
I think for me is just celebrate all the things that you are. Celebrate the things that you're doing. Celebrate those little things that make you your authentic you. Because when we can focus on who we want to be in the future, our future you, that is where it starts today. We have to start today to be our future you, to be our future self. And that's what we've all talked about it. But we started. So take those small steps. Just get going, and it's absolutely just such a fun thing. And to get in touch with me, here is me. I'm founder of Wellness Playroom and on LinkedIn. But one other thing before Sherry ends the show is I do want to make an offer to you that if you would like to do what Emily has done and become a co-host with Sherry and I, feel free to reach out to this and we will schedule you on this show. And you can come on and bring a panel of your own. We always talk about the same subject, but you know what? The subject is always the same, but the show is always different because everybody's stories are so different. So yeah, just feel free to reach out to us.
Very true, Barbara. Everybody's story is very different, and we all got to where we are because we're human beings, and therefore we live life differently. Oh dear. In terms of the thing that I tend to work with every day and often every moment at times, I ask myself one question: what's the best use of my time right now? And sometimes that's going and having a nap. Sometimes it's having water. Sometimes it's getting down to business with my work. It just depends. But if we don't look after us, it's like that old adage with the airplane, right? If you don't look after yourself, you can't look after the other passengers. Same thing in our lives. We have to look after us first. And hopefully then we have the energy, we have the knowledge and the forthwith or wherewithal, I guess is the right word, to be able to help others. So I really appreciate Emily and meeting Franz and meeting Marisa here today. It's been fantastic. You've brought so many new ideas to people who are listening. And Barbara, I always enjoy working with you. You are such a delight.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you all. And for those of you who are out there listening, if you want to touch base with any of the people here, all you have to do is connect with them. Take care. Beyond the Briefcase, we're here every month. Take care and bye for now.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.